What's up guys, Chris here from Mainly Mesh. Gonna take you through a review today of all of Wolf Athletics Element shafts. We've had some miserable gray weather out here, so I'm trying to take advantage of like the only sun we've had in probably a month or two, so that's why I'm outside. Got to experience the elements. Long story short, these are some of the highest quality shafts on the market. Wolf Athletics partnered with the artist formerly known as Jewel Lacrosse, which I mentioned when I reviewed the original Element and the Recon as well, just to create some of the highest quality shafts on the market. Stop me if I've said that before. The Element comes in 3 different weights right now. So the teal stripe is just the Element with no additional letters or anything. And this right now is the lightest shaft in the world, which I've already done a review on, but they kind of tweaked 1 or 2 things from the prototype that I got. Next up, they have the Element U-1, which is kind of more of your upper tier shaft for everybody. So this is more in the 5.4 ounce range or 150 grams. So lighter, but still super strong. And this is kind of the all around high grade carbon fiber shaft. And just like Jewel originally had the Punisher, they also now with Wolf Athletics have come out with the Element U-2. This is their beast shaft, their real punishing element per se. This bad boy comes in at a whopping 7.6 ounces, which if you guys remember is actually a lot lighter than the Punisher. I think the Punisher was around 10 ounces, but it's actually still just as strong. So that's the overview, but let me dive into the specifics now. If you're unfamiliar with Jewel in the past and the Element line now, basically the Element line incorporates some of the great aspects of the Jewel shafts while ditching some of the ones you guys were a little bit more annoyed with. So Wolf tried to keep some of that rounded profile. This still incorporates an octagonal profile though, but it is a little bit more rounded. So they tried to keep almost an ovular shape at the top and bottom so it can kind of settle in your hands a little bit more cleanly, which is one of the things that Jewel touted, was that their circular shafts allowed you to have a little bit more accuracy because it wasn't always digging into whatever angle your wrist was cocked. So they tried to keep that rounded profile in the main section of the shaft, but actually up top you can see there's a pretty concave profile for about the first 6 inches or so, which is really cool because when you're cradling up top with one hand, you have some really nice grip of the concave profile, but for the rest of the shaft, it's a really smooth feel. It circles through your hands really well, allows you to change hands very easily, and then allows for that supposed increase in accuracy that Jewel touted in the first place. The second thing that Jewel touted with their shafts was their incredible strength, and the Element line really stepped it up another notch. So with this Element, so the non-U1, non-U2, just the lightest shaft in the world, this bad boy, for this one is weighing it at 110 grams for me. They advertise about 106 grams. My original one was 97, and it actually held up very well. Basically, the lightest shaft in the world, Element, can take about a little over 600 pounds of force between a 12-inch section. So keep in mind that's not 600 pounds if you held your hands out and did a illegal cross check. That might be more in like the 300-pound range, which is something you could definitely still break. But between a 12-inch section, if you're playing some very legal defense, I doubt you're going to exert 600 pounds of force. So that does not mean that this shaft will withstand slashes very well. This is something that really deserves a video for itself, but there's a very big difference between cross-check strength and slash strength in a stick. Because of that, the slash strength of this stick isn't very high, and Wolf really only recommends this for players 13 years and under. So if you're a young guy trying to get the lightest stick in the world, maybe this is for you. It's a little pricey for that age group in my opinion. Yeah, come here, join me. I got a buddy from my review. Mia, what do you have to say about the Element shaft? Oh, nope, and she's gone. If you're an older player looking to use this shaft, you're really going to want to make sure that you don't have any sort of slash in your repertoire. And that's something I kind of took out of my game when I got older. I just realized that lifting a defenseman's stick was way more successful than hacking his arms. So for me, I actually have yet to break my 97-gram shaft. I didn't play with it all that much. But that's pretty wild that I wasn't just snapping that in 2 in the first run. So, you know, this will withstand some cross checks, but it's really not going to withstand the slashes, and you're really not going to want to buy this if you're a heavy hitter. The U-1 though is advertised as the strongest shaft in its weight class. So this is a 150 gram shaft, so you're comparing it to roughly the 155 gram or the 145 gram from String King. A little bit heavier than the Epic Dragonfly shaft, but basically on the slash strength, this is coming in right around where the Carbon Pro is, which is actually one of the strongest shafts for slash resistance on the market, the more you know. But cross-check wise, this blows that out of the market. So the U-1 at that weight, incredibly strong shaft. This is for everybody, whether you're a defender, whether you're an attacker, whether you hack or not. This is really going to treat you well. More importantly though for this shaft is this actually has the lowest center of gravity of any shaft I've ever tested. So I've talked about this with my balance reviews before, but basically the balance point in this shaft comes almost an inch and a half. Oop, can I balance it? Almost an inch and a half below, I think inch and a quarter below center for the stick. So this is going to give you, although it's heavier than a Dragonfly in your hands, it's actually going to feel a little bit lighter on a stick, which is really interesting. It's something I really like in a shaft, and that's something I liked a lot in the Jewel sticks to begin with. But this, shaving off a ton of weight from the original Jewel shafts, this is going to be a really awesome option for you guys. Finally, the U-2. This is your beat the heck out of your opponent shaft, and basically Wolf is advertising this delivers the most force of any shaft in the game. What does that mean? So obviously if you have a heavier stick, force equals mass times acceleration. Increase the mass, that's going to increase the force. But the other thing you have to keep in mind is the impulse. What that means is if you have a really flexible stick, you're not going to feel it as much, right? Because it's exerting force over a longer period of time. This shaft, though, is even stiffer than titanium. Stiffer than titanium. What that means is that this shaft is going to exert more force, or in other words, be more painful than a titanium shaft. If you're a box player, and I've had a lot of box players try a lot of carbon fiber shafts and they've never been happy with them, I'm gonna be really amazed if you guys aren't happy with this bad boy. 7.6 ounces, still as strong as the Punisher. If you're a D-mid, this is the shaft you want, period. You'll probably never buy another. As far as the feel of these shafts go while shooting, they have the same style of kick point higher in the shaft that the original Jewel shafts do. I haven't been able to test it myself, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about that right now until my knee heals up a little bit more and I can start getting some shots off. But overall, these are some incredibly nice carbon fiber shaft options on the market. In the editing process, I should have included the prices above the shafts as they go along. I believe it's $97 for the Element and in the $140 range for the U-1 and U-2. So definitely upper price tier, but these are one of the few shafts in that price tier that are really worth it. The Carbon Pro is definitely worth the money if you like that crazy kick point. The Dragonfly, obviously, I love, and I think it's worth that money. And these shafts definitely are worth the cost as well, and are really kind of pushing the envelope in the carbon fiber game, which I love to see. That's about it for this lineup, guys. If you guys have any more questions, please let me know in the comments down below. I'll include a link to Wolf's website if you guys want to buy these. Huge shout out to Wolf Athletics for sending these bad boys over. Thanks so much. Catch you guys next time.